Single mom's heartwarming dinner for one transformed by CEO's incredible whisper. DISOVERED love. Emily stirred the pot on the stove, the steam rising like ghosts from long-forgotten dreams. The aroma of her savory chili filled the small kitchen, momentarily drowning out the emptiness that lingered. Dinner for one had become a ritual, each spoonful a reminder of laughter once shared at a full table, now replaced by solitude. The flickering light from the TV cast shadows on the walls, and she felt the weight of bills gathered on the countertop, a relentless reminder of her struggle. Mia was her world, her bright star, but as a single mom, Emily carried so much. The late shifts at the diner chipped away at her resilience, leaving just enough energy to hug her daughter goodnight before collapsing on the couch. The quiet evenings echoed with the memories of family dinners filled with chatter and warmth, a stark contrast to the lonely silence that enveloped her now. As the community gathered for the annual charity event, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and colorful banners. Mia nudged her mother, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Can we go, Mom? Please?" How could Emily refuse? They ventured out into the chilly evening, cloaked in layers but warm in the embrace of hope, and there he was, Alex, the smooth-talking CEO with a reputation for generosity. His presence commanded attention, but it was his easy smile that captured Emily's gaze. Their conversation started with light banter, but soon morphed into deeper reflections on love and connection. Emily's heart fluttered as he leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Love is powerful, Emily. It's what truly connects us." Those words tangled with the loneliness in her heart, igniting a flicker of something long thought extinguished. Days turned into weeks, their friendship blossomed over shared coffee and late-night talks that stretched into the early hours. Emily felt herself softening, the walls she had built gradually crumbling as laughter filled spaces that had long been vacant. But doubt clawed at her. How could a waitress like her fit into the world of tailored suits and polished privilege? Just as she began to open her heart, the storm hit. A scandal erupted around Alex's company, splattered across tabloids and screens. Whispers buzzed around town, painting him in a vicious light. Emily's stomach twisted, the excitement of newfound affection crashing against the harsh reality of gossiping neighbors and cautious friends. "Mom, you have to be real with him," Mia said, her teenage wisdom cutting straight through Emily's fear. Love means taking risks. But the thought of stepping into the chaos scared Emily to her core. Could vulnerability, this chaotic mixture of possibility and pain, be the answer to her organized mess of a life? Tension filled the air around her, thick as the evening fog. Emily stood at a crossroads, torn between the self-preservation instincts honed over years of struggle and the undeniable connection with Alex that begged her to lean in. Would she embrace the unknown, challenge her fears, and weep with joy, or walk back into the familiar shelter of her loneliness? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. She could hear the echoes of those neighbors she distanced herself from, a community she could dive back into. Would it be enough to shatter her defenses? With the chatter of the evening swirling in her mind, Emily found herself at an emotional precipice. Would she let love and connection in, or retreat back to the safety of her solitary existence? As the night deepened, the uncertainty loomed larger, teasing realization and resolution just out of reach. Emily felt the chill of indecision wrap around her like a heavier coat than the one she wore. She was stuck. The whispers of her heart battled the echoes of fear that played in her mind like an endless loop. What if she let herself fall, only to be hurt again? What if everything she had built her life, her daughter, collapsed under the weight of her choices? Mia's voice penetrated the haze of doubt, cutting through like bright sunlight on a winter morning. "Mom, you deserve happiness, too," she reminded, looking up at her with those keen eyes that seemed to know far more than any teenager should. "You've taught me to be brave. Isn't it time you showed yourself that, too?" Taking a deep breath, Emily felt the warmth of hope seep back into her veins. Maybe Mia was right, maybe facing this fear was the only way to reclaim her joy. After all, hadn't Alex's tender encouragement unlocked something special within her? The idea of him lingered in the back of her mind, stirring momentary feelings of excitement and fear. Okay, she whispered to herself, her heart pounding as she reached for her phone. Sending a text to Alex felt monumental, like crossing a bridge she had long avoided. Hey, Alex. Can we talk? I really need to see you. She hoped her words conveyed the urgency flooding her heart. The seconds ticked away like hours as Emily paced the small living room, glancing at the clock hanging on the wall. Her thoughts spiraled. What would she say? How would he respond? Just when doubts threatened to drown her resolve, her phone buzzed, the screen lighting up with a message. Of course, Emily. Can I come by tonight? Her breath hitched. Each moment with him elevated that soft flicker of connection into a blazing beacon. What would she wear? She rifled through her closet, the safe classics feeling so dull and ordinary. But within the confines of her simple wardrobe, something inside her resonated with a spark of daring. She carefully selected a deep blue blouse that brought out the warmth of her eyes and a pair of sleek jeans that made her feel strong. As she prepared, her thoughts darted from excitement to trepidation. The gossip, the judgment, none of it mattered compared to the fleeting chance of love. Yet, the weight of her past nagged at her, cautioning her to tread carefully. The doorbell chimed, jolting her from her thoughts. He was here. Opening the door, she found Alex standing there, that easy smile lighting up the evening. He looked genuinely happy to see her, and for a moment, her fears slipped away. As he stepped inside and she closed the door behind him, it felt like they were sealing the outside world away. Emily, he began, his voice soft yet earnest. I've been thinking about you. About us. And I want you to know. But before he could finish, a nervous rush of adrenaline overwhelmed her. Her heart raced as she reached for what she truly wanted, a desire that outshone the fear. Alex, I need to be real with you, she interrupted, her hands trembling slightly. We need to talk about the scandal. About us. His expression shifted, and for a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. Could he still see beyond the chaos? Would he stand by her, or would he retreat back into the shadows? As the weight of truth hung in the air, Emily felt the stirrings of hope entangled with uncertainty. The moment seemed to stretch beyond time. Would love find a way amidst the wreckage of rumors, or was she stepping into an unknown that could break her heart anew? With every heartbeat echoing the importance of the moment, the evening awaited its answer, each breath igniting a tension that would lead to revelations neither could anticipate. What lay ahead began to unfold like hazy figures emerging from the shadows, ready to carve paths they couldn't yet see. The air crackled with tension. Emily felt the rush of emotions building as if they were forming a storm overhead. Alex searched her eyes, diving into the uncertainty with a steady gaze. What do you mean? He asked, voice steady but soft, as if he were afraid that loudness could shatter the fragile moment. We both know there's been talk. The whole town is buzzing about us, she started, her voice wavering slightly. As much as I want to believe this could be something, I can't just ignore the rumors. He frowned, the familiar lines of concern forming around his mouth. Emily, I can't control what people say. All I know is how I feel about you. His words hung between them, soothing yet charged. She took a tentative step closer, heart pounding. But what if they're right? What if this, us, becomes another scandal? A silence settled, thick and heavy. Alex looked down for a moment, processing her words. When he spoke, his voice was laced with calm certainty. Then let it be. We can't live our lives by someone else's judgment. I want to be here with you, no matter what. The sincerity in his eyes broke down the walls she had built so carefully. Did she dare let herself believe? The warmth of his presence felt both inviting and intimidating, an antidote to the fears she had carried like a weight for so long. You don't understand the consequences, Alex, she said, shaking her head. It's not just me anymore, it's Mia, too. He stepped closer, their faces inches apart, the unspoken connection deepening. Mia knows you better than anyone. And if she sees you happy, she'll understand. You deserve this, Emily. You've worked so hard to rebuild your life. A flicker of hope ignited in her chest, battling fiercely against doubt. Maybe it was time to let go of the past, to embrace the promise of a new beginning. What if the pressure gets too much? She asked, almost pleadingly. Then we face it together, he assured, reaching out to gently squeeze her hand. The warmth of his touch sent shivers up her arm, kindling courage from deep within. I'm not going anywhere, Emily. You and Mia are worth it to me. Doesn't that count for something? His words washed over her like a soothing balm. The connection she had felt with him wasn't just fleeting, it was something real. But her heart ached with the weight of uncertainty. Could she really open her life to him, knowing the world was watching closely? I want to believe that, she murmured, feeling the flood of emotions swell around her. But I've been hurt before. I'm scared of what could happen if this doesn't work out. Life is messy, he replied softly, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. But it's also beautiful. You have to choose to step forward. Just imagine, he searched her eyes for a flicker of hope, as if trying to pull her closer into his vision of a shared future. Imagine us, together. Strong, brave like you've taught Mia to be. Is that not worth the risk? Before she could answer, his lips pressed gently against hers, sending a wave of warmth pooling in the pit of her stomach. For a split second, everything else faded away. It was just them, standing together in the stillness, daring to hope. When they finally pulled back, Emily felt different, invigorated yet terrified. What would happen next? Could they weather the storm together, or would the weight of the world tear them apart? With her heart racing still, she knew one thing: she was no longer standing at the edge, but stepping into something new. And yet, the path ahead felt uncertain, like a promise unraveling at the seams. They stood there, breathlessly entangled in a moment that could shift everything. A distant shout broke through their bubble, reminding Emily of the reality outside the door. The world still awaited. But the question remained: could love truly flourish amidst the chaos? The shout echoed down the street, pulling them both back to the buzz of reality. Emily's heart sank at the thought of the outside world crashing in on the fragile moment they had just shared. She glanced at Alex, whose face mirrored her own apprehension. Guess the world doesn't wait, he said, forcing a wry smile that didn't quite erase the tension still hanging in the air. As the sounds of laughter and chatter drifted closer, a familiar figure cut through the crowd: Mia, waving her arms like a windmill, an impish grin on her face. Emily's heart swelled with love, but it was tempered by the weight of unspoken truths. Mom. Mia chirped, running up to them, her energy infectious. Did you win the lottery or something? You look all glowy. Are you going to tell me about it? Emily's cheeks flushed, the apprehension thickening. She opened her mouth to respond, but the words stuttered in her throat. Alex interlaced his fingers with hers, a reassuring gesture, yet it sent a tremor of uncertainty through her core. Mia, it's just a nice chat, Emily finally managed, forcing a smile. The last thing she wanted was to add complexity to Mia's world. You know how it is. Well, I hope you two were talking about pizza. I'm starving. Mia's enthusiasm cut through the tension, and for a moment, Emily felt herself relax. Pizza sounds perfect. Alex chuckled, his ease lifting Emily's spirits momentarily. The bond between them felt charged despite the looming uncertainties, and she was grateful for that spark amidst the chaos. They headed to the nearby pizzeria, the busy street filled with the aromatic scent of melted cheese and spices. As they walked, Alex leaned in closer to Emily, whispering, I'll help you talk to Mia when we get back. Just give me a sign, okay? Emily nodded, her heart racing as they entered the pizzeria. There, the colors swirled vibrant around them: reds, yellows, and browns contrasted with the harmonious noise of laughter and clinking cutlery. Mia flitted about, oblivious to the undercurrents swirling between her mom and Alex. She only cared about the promise of pizza and soda, painting smiles on their faces. As they settled at a booth, Mia launched into stories of her day, but all Emily could think about was the decision pressing down on her. She could feel Alex's gaze on her, steady and supportive, yet the fear of what lay ahead curled tightly in her stomach. "Can we sit over there, Mom?" Mia pointed to a corner booth filled with cool decorations of classic cars. If possible, Emily would have preferred to hide there indefinitely. "Sure, sweetheart," she said, the words feeling heavy on her lips. The moment felt like a transition, a gateway to something new, yet obscured by doubts. As they moved to the booth Mia had chosen, she caught whispers from a nearby table, a couple stealing glances at them. Her heart clenched. What were they thinking? Did they already know? Almost as if sensing her distress, Alex leaned in as they settled in their seats, brushing his knee against hers. "Don't let it get to you," he whispered, his voice low and calming. "We'll handle it together." Mia slurped her soda, oblivious to the adults' worries. "Can we get pepperoni? Extra cheese?" she asked, bouncing in her seat. "Of course," Emily said, forcing a smile and choosing to focus on the joy in her daughter's eyes. As the conversation flowed, she tried to lose herself in light-hearted banter, but her mind kept drifting back to the whispers, the judgment, and the looming question, was love strong enough to survive this scrutiny? The waiter approached, and after their order was placed, Alex turned to Emily, his expression serious yet tender. "Emily, I mean it, whatever happens, we'll face it together. I promise." She felt a flutter of hope, but her heart also ached, heavy with uncertainty. Would their bond be strong enough to weather this storm? As they waited for their pizzas, the weight of the moment pressed down, and she knew they would have to confront the world soon, and it wouldn't be easy. Just as the waiter delivered their steaming, cheesy pizzas, a commotion erupted from the entrance. Emily's heart sank as she recognized familiar faces stepping through the door. The town's gossips, her past entwined with theirs. What would they say? Would her past haunt her, or could this moment mark the start of a different story? With her pulse quickening, Emily exchanged a nervous glance with Alex. His eyes were filled with determination, and as the door swung wide, she realized it was never just about pizza, it was about taking a stand for love and for herself. Would she rise to the challenge? Would they brave this together, no matter the whispers? The chatter in the pizzeria stuttered to an almost deafening hush as the familiar figures strode inside. Emily's stomach twisted into knots, and her breath caught in her throat. There was Melissa and Tom, the couple with the sharpest tongues, known all too well for their penchant for spreading stories, no matter how small the detail. They had seen Emily at her lowest, and now, she felt as exposed as a deer in headlights. Alex seemed to sense her tension immediately. His fingers squeezed hers tighter, anchoring her as their eyes met. "Breathe," he mouthed, and somehow, that simple word calmed the storm within. "Mom, who are they?" Mia's innocent question jolted Emily from her thoughts. She forced a smile that felt more like a grimace and turned to her daughter. "Just some friends from the neighborhood," she said, hoping her voice sounded casual. "They don't look friendly," Mia quipped, tilting her head as she noticed the two glancing their way with a mix of curiosity and judgment. Emily's heart ached at the truth in Mia's words. She had spent so long avoiding their scrutinizing gazes, and now they were especially conspicuous. The couple exchanged whispers, their eyes darting from Emily to Alex, a puzzled look creeping across their faces. For a brief moment, Emily felt like she was on a stage, every flaw amplified. But what would her life be without this needy corner of the audience? The whispers that once stung like arrows started to shift into a dull hum as the weeks turned into months. Now, she had to act. "All right, how about we start with a toast?" Alex broke the tension, his voice ringing clear above the growing murmurs from the couple. He lifted his glass, setting the example. "To new beginnings." Mia squealed her approval, mirroring his action. Emily joined in, her heart swelling with pride at these two brave souls beside her. There was warmth in the air, akin to the aroma of freshly baked pizza wafting from the kitchen. In that moment, Emily dared to look away from the whispers and judge the stares. She focused instead on her daughter, bubbling with joy over the arrival of their pizzas, and her heart began to believe that maybe this time, they could carve out their own space, one free from judgment. Did you see their faces? Priceless. Mia giggled when the pizzas arrived, her laughter disrupting any lingering tension. Emily felt the corners of her mouth lift. Right? Who doesn't love some extra cheese? Alex joked, and Mia erupted into laughter again, pulling a slice toward her as if it were the last piece of an island adventure puzzle, yet as they dove into the meal, she could still feel the weight of eyes on them. Melissa and Tom drifted closer, not long after settling at their own table, their whispers growing louder. Emily could almost catch snippets about her and him punctuated by exaggerated gasps. Part of her wanted to turn and confront them, to lay bare the reality of her life, the love she had found in Alex, and how joy danced around their little family, but another part held her back, whispering doubts into her ear. "Don't you worry about them," Alex said softly, seemingly reading her mind. "What they think is none of your business." Her heart raced at his words. It felt revolutionary, liberating. But deep down, she still sensed the fear tethering her to the past. What if they peeled back the layers of her life and found cracks brittle enough to shatter everything they held? Would Alex still cling to her if the town turned against them? "Mom, can I have more pizza?" Mia interrupted, joyfully oblivious to the storm hovering over her mom's heart. "Of course," Emily replied, focusing on her daughter's smile. She leaned down, planting a quick kiss on her head. "You just keep being you, sweetheart." Then she caught Alex's gaze again. There was a challenge in his eyes, a fiery determination to fight against whatever darkness lingered in the corners. It sparked something in her, a flicker of bravery. Suddenly, with a deep breath, Emily stood. The weight of her decisions hung heavy, but she was done being at the mercy of others' judgment. "Excuse me," she said, her voice steady. She lifted her chin high, ready to face whatever came next. "Mia, Alex, I'll be right back," she declared, and as she made her way toward Melissa and Tom, her pulse thudded loudly in her ears. Each step felt like a declaration of independence. This was about so much more than just pizza, it was about love, acceptance, and rewriting her narrative. What would she say? The moment stretched in her mind, tantalizingly close yet infinite. And as she opened her mouth to speak, the very air around her shifted, pulling her closer to the brink of something she never expected to uncover in this very moment. Was she ready to reclaim her story? The answer hung tantalizingly just beyond reach. "Excuse me, Melissa, Tom," Emily started, her voice loud enough to cut through their hushed murmurs. Her heart hammered in her chest, but she held her ground, feeling both exposed and powerful. The couple turned, surprise painting their faces. "Emily. We didn't see you there," Melissa purred, a smirk dancing on her lips. She wore that look, half curiosity, half judgment, a blend Emily recognized too well. "Actually, you did. But I wanted to talk." Emily took a deep breath, desperately willing her voice not to tremble. "I know you've had a lot to say about me in the past. But I'm here with Alex, and I'm happy." There it was, that soft gasp from Melissa. Tom leaned back, sipping his drink, brows raised in mock disbelief. This was the moment. "You know, I've heard a lot of things about your life," Tom remarked, his tone dripping with feigned concern. "It must be tough to move on after everything that happened." Her stomach twisted, nasty memories trying to surface like oil in water. "It was tough," she acknowledged. "I wouldn't say I did it perfectly, but I'm trying my best. And what I have with Alex and Mia? It's worth everything." Melissa glanced sideways at Tom, whispering something that made him chuckle. Emily noticed. Every laugh felt like a pinprick on her heart. But this time, instead of flinching, she pushed back, a fire igniting in her belly. "What do you want from me?" she asked, bold and raw. "Do you want me to apologize for putting myself back together? For finding love and joy again? Because I won tea. You see, the thing is, this family is everything to me. And whatever you say or think, it doesn't change that truth." Mia's laughter filtered through the restaurant, a bright melody against the heavy tension around the table. Emily felt it, a fleeting warmth, a reminder why she stood here. She felt Alex's presence behind her, strong and steady, radiating support. Tom opened his mouth, perhaps to rebuke her, but Emily pressed on. I could care less what rumors are spread or who thinks what about me. In case you didn't notice, I'm not that person you used to know. You can continue to judge me from the sidelines, but I'm living now. Not just existing. The silence that ensued was thick, a heavy blanket laid over the three of them. Emily felt her confidence rise, buoying her with every second that passed. She thought she saw a flicker of admiration in Melissa's eyes, or was that just wishful thinking? Would they ever accept her? But then Alex stepped forward, his voice breaking into the air like a gentle tide. Emily, you've done an incredible job. We don't need their approval. His words wrapped around her, soothing like a balm on a cut. Melissa finally managed to pull herself together, breaking the stalemate. Well, I hope you're prepared for the whispers. They won't just disappear. Then let them whisper, Emily shot back, standing a little taller. Because I've got a story to write, and it has more to do with love and resilience than with your gossip. As she turned to leave, she cast one last glance over her shoulder, catching the flicker of surprise on their faces. Yes, this was hers. Mia's laughter called her back, intoxicating and warm interspersed with slices of pizza and happiness at their table. Did you tell them off? She asked, eyes sparkling with excited curiosity. Emily couldn't help but smile. In a way, yeah. But more importantly, I stood up for us. Good. Mia cheered, reaching for another slice, oblivious to the turmoil that had just ensued. But as Emily sat back down, her heart still racing, she couldn't shake off the feeling that this was just the beginning. What would Melissa and Tom do next? How would they react to her stand? And more importantly, would Emily finally feel the freedom to fully embrace her new life, even if it meant facing new challenges in her path? The sound of Mia munching on her pizza brought Emily back to the moment. She glanced at her daughter, who was completely undeterred by the earlier confrontation. Mia's innocent bliss reminded her of the life she fought to build, a life filled with laughter, love, and harmony. But as the moment lingered, so did the tension from her encounter with Melissa and Tom. Emily's heart raced, a mix of adrenaline and anxiety swirling within her. The booth was cozy, yet a chill crept into the air, making her wonder what shadows lurked behind familiar smiles. Do you want more? Mia asked, holding up her slice like a trophy. Emily chuckled softly, but her mind was still elsewhere. I'm good for now, she replied, forcing her smile. What did they say? Mia's curiosity was relentless, her eyes wide and unblinking. Oh, Emily started, her voice steadying, just the usual stuff. They think they know who I am. But they're wrong, right? They don't know you like I do. A warmth spread within Emily, soothing her frazzled nerves. Exactly. You see right through it, honey. They don't see all the amazing things we've built together. Just then, Alex strolled back from the restroom, a gentle smile painting his lips. He slid into the booth beside Emily, instinctively wrapping an arm around her shoulders. The warmth of his embrace made the noise of the restaurant fade, and for a moment, it was just them safe and sound. How did it go? He asked softly, concern flickering in his eye. I stood my ground, she said, looking into his eyes. But I still feel unsettled. Unsettled is good, he replied, his voice steady. It means you care. Or maybe it meant she still feared what others thought. The thought prickled at her, urging her to dig deeper into her feelings. Why was she so affected by Melissa and Tom in the first place? I just wish it was easier to let go of the past, Emily whispered. Sometimes it feels like they can't help but drag it up. Alex nodded thoughtfully. You're not the same person they knew. You've grown. You're stronger. His faith in her made her heart swell, but a voice in her head whispered doubt. Do you really think so? She asked, the vulnerability beneath her bravado surfacing. Absolutely, he said, unflinching. You're a warrior. You've created a beautiful life with Mia. And me. He paused, then added, you'll tackle whatever comes next. Emily's heart fluttered at the weight of his words. It felt like a shield against the whispers that haunted her. Maybe she was ready to face whatever came next, head on. "Thanks for being my rock," she said, giving him a small smile. "Always." But just as she settled into the comfort of his words, a loud burst of laughter erupted from a nearby table, drawing their attention. It was Melissa and Tom. They seemed to revel in the aftermath of their earlier interaction. Emily's gut tightened. "Look, they're still watching us," she muttered, her confidence wavered. "No matter what they say," Alex began, tilting her chin up gently, "we've got this. No one can take away your happiness." Mia piped up, "Let us just ignore them. They're boring anyway." Her innocence fueled a lightness that momentarily chased the shadows away. Emily chuckled, but the laughter felt fragile. Could she really ignore them? Ignore the whispers that could seep back in? "Maybe I should set another boundary," she mused, half to herself. "Absolutely," Alex affirmed. "But remember, it's less about them, and more about what you choose to create. What you nurture from here forward." Emily's mind churned, the seeds of determination beginning to take root. Yes, it was time to take action. She would define her narrative and choose joy, no matter the noise around her. As the evening continued, she couldn't shake a creeping realization. The path ahead wouldn't just be about handling Melissa and Tom. It would hold far greater implications, and she was starting to understand that the past had a way of testing her resolve. As they finished dinner, an unexpected message chimed on Emily's phone. It was from a number she didn't recognize, holding the promise of information that could shift everything. A knot formed in her stomach, anticipation and apprehension mixing together. What could it mean? And how would it change the future she was so desperately trying to build? Emily stared at her phone, the message blinking at her like a lighthouse in a foggy night. The uncertainty gripped her heart. She could feel Mia's small hand tug at her sleeve, pulling her back from the brink of her swirling thoughts. "Mama? Who's texting you?" Mia's voice cut through the haze, innocent and bright. "Just a friend," she managed to say, forcing a smile as she quickly glanced at the screen. It was just a number, no name attached. But it felt more than just an ordinary message. "Can I see?" Mia asked eagerly, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "No, honey. Maybe later," Emily replied, slipping her phone back into her pocket. "Okay," Mia said cheerfully, completely unfazed, and returned to her pizza. Emily sighed. She had never been one to back away from challenges, yet this felt different. What could this message hold? Why was she allowing it to disturb her peace? With a sudden burst of bravery, she turned to Alex. "What if I replied to it?" she said, half joking, trying to break through the anxiety. Alex placed his hand over hers, his touch grounding. "You can if you want. Just be careful. It could be someone from your past, or something." His tone remained steady, but she could hear the hint of protectiveness in his voice. Definitely something, she thought. Memories of her past flitted through her mind like a film reel. They'd all tried to drag her back, whether directly or indirectly. But now, it felt like she was standing at a crossroads, the decision trembling just out of reach. "Let us just enjoy the moment," Alex said, redirecting their focus. "Our dinner is almost over, and we still have the whole weekend ahead of us." Emily nodded, grateful for his ability to bring her back, and allowed her mind to wander to their plans. They had promised Mia an adventure at the Science Museum, a day of laughter and exploration. As Mia talked animatedly about her favorite exhibits, Emily's heart warmed. This was the family she chose, the one she fought for, the one who made her feel safe. But a nagging feeling remained, tugging at the edges of her comfort. What if this text held answers to questions she didn't dare to ask? Suddenly, the sound of clinking glasses and chatter filled the restaurant again, but all Emily could hear was her own heartbeat and the thrum of anticipation. Laughter erupted from the nearby table, and she caught sight of Melissa and Tom, their laughter mingling with the screech of chairs and clattering dishes. They were still basking in whatever moment they believed they were sharing, oblivious of the world around them. Emily felt a wash of anger mixed with disbelief. They were just there, free to live their lives, while she was still sorting through the pieces of her own. "Mama? Can we get ice cream?" Mia asked, snapping her back into the present. "Absolutely. Ice cream sounds perfect," she said with a bright smile, pushing her discomfort away for the moment. But as they slid out of the booth, her phone vibrated again, sending another ripple of tension through her. Alex raised an eyebrow, instinctively sensing her unease. "Everything okay?" he asked softly. "Yeah, she hesitated, glancing at the screen, "just a message." "Can wait?" he asked with a gentle squeeze of her hand. "Yeah, it can wait." But deep down, uncertainty beckoned to her. As they headed toward the exit, the question echoed in her mind. Was she strong enough to face whatever awaited her? Could she conquer this curiosity without letting it derail the life she loved? The moment they stepped outside, Emily made her choice. She would answer the message later, but first, she needed this moment with the ones she cherished most. Once they were all settled in the car, the evening air filled with the sweet smell of hope and adventure. The light from the streetlights flickered like possibilities ahead. Emily glanced back at Mia, who was humming a cheerful tune, a smile playing on her lips. In that moment, she knew one thing for sure: she wouldn't allow anyone or anything to dim the light they had forged together. But as the engine roared to life, and they pulled away, her phone chimed again. The tension coursed through her veins, and she couldn't shake the feeling that this could be the turning point she never saw coming. What secrets lay hidden in that message? And would it reshape the future she desperately wished to protect? The glow of the dashboard lights bathed the car in a warm hue as they drove into the night. Mia chattered happily about her day, her voice echoing in the cozy space. Emily felt a flicker of joy every time she caught a glimpse of her daughter's excitement. Yet, the phone buzzed again, stealing her focus. It felt like a persistent shadow looming over what should have been a carefree evening. "Mom. Did you hear what I said?" Mia's voice cut through her thoughts, and Emily turned to find her daughter's curious face peering at her. "Sorry, sweetie." "What was that?" Emily replied, forcing a smile as she pulled her mind back to the car's atmosphere, adjusting to the moment. "I said I can't wait to see the dinosaur exhibit. And I want to take a picture with the giant T-Rex." Mia's eyes sparkled, animated in her praise for the world of giants. "That's a great idea. I can picture you conquering it already," Emily encouraged, feeling her heart warm at Mia's enthusiasm. As the car rolled down the familiar road, Emily's gaze drifted back to her phone. The screen glowed like a beacon. It was a temptation, her heart racing as she wondered who could be sending her messages at such an hour. The thought alone ignited whirlwinds in her chest, conflicting emotions gnashing against each other. "Mom?" Mia's voice pulled her away. "Yes, honey? Are you okay? You look kind of tense." Emily took a deep breath, guilt creeping in. "I'm fine, just a little tired." Mia frowned slightly, her brows knitting together. "Okay, but if you're ever sad, I want you to tell me. You're my mama, and I love you." Those words, so pure and sincere, washed over Emily like a comforting blanket. With a soft smile, she added, "I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything." But as they drew closer to home, the thought of that text invaded once again, stoking the fire of anxiety that prodded at her. What if there were pieces of her past she still needed to confront? She flipped the words in her mind, wrestling with the idea of reaching out. What if this was an opportunity for growth and closure? Arriving at their cozy house, Emily parked the car and took a moment to breathe. The shadows of their street were washed in yellow from the streetlights, and it felt peaceful, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing inside her. As they got out, the evening air was cool on her skin, a refreshing reminder of reality. Mia bounded towards the front door. "Race you to the couch," she called over her shoulder, already sprinting ahead. Emily smiled at that familiar spark of playfulness. "Good luck, kiddo," she teased, breaking into a jog behind her, laughter bubbling up as they both tumbled onto the sofa. The laughter echoed in the stillness of the house, filling it with warmth. But the phone vibrated once more, a reminder of the unresolved tension. "Okay, I'll just peek really quick," she murmured to herself, heart thrumming in her chest. She shifted, leaning against the armrest, opening the message with shaky fingers. The screen revealed a number she hadn't recognized, but the text read, "It's time to talk. You know who this is." Emily felt her breath catch in her throat, the weight of the words sinking in. With Mia beside her, giggling and spilling popcorn everywhere, her mind spiraled. Who was this? What did they want? The voice in her head screamed to ignore it, but a deeper, aching curiosity battled for dominance. She was being pulled under again by shadows of her past, shadows she thought she had left firmly behind. And the question hung in the air like the tension before a storm: could facing this truth lead to liberation or disaster? As the popcorn scattered across the floor, Emily's pulse raced with the possibilities. What would she find if she dared to answer? The night air felt heavier as Emily sat there, the message glaring at her as if it held the keys to a door long locked. She glanced over at Mia, who was rolling on the floor with laughter, the joy radiating from her making Emily's heart swell. This was her priority, her daughter's happiness. But the uncertainty gnawed at her. "Mom, watch me!" Mia shouted, her innocent voice slicing through the tension. "I'm a superhero." Emily smiled, but her mind was pulled between the happiness of the moment and the mystery of the text. What did the message mean? "Hey, kiddo," she called out gently, pulling Mia's attention away from her role-playing. "Can you do me a favor? Can you give me just a few minutes? I need to handle something." "Okay. I'll be right back," Mia chirped, heading off to the kitchen for snacks, her small footsteps echoing in the hallway. Emily took a deep breath, her heart pounding, and opened the message again. It felt surreal, knowing that someone from her past was reaching out. "You know who this is." The words felt ominous, like thunder rumbling in the distance. Could it be someone looking to stir old drama? Could it be a chance to finally set things right? She typed back hesitantly, hoping to find clarity. "Who is this?" Moments ticked by and it felt heavy, waiting for a response. The flood of memories swirled faces from her past, decisions that led her to this moment. She could hear Mia's laughter in the background like a reminder of what she fought for. "Emily, you've got this," she whispered to herself, the warmth of Alex's earlier words wrapping around her like a hug. Then her phone pinged, and she braced herself. "It's Jake. We need to talk." Her heart dropped. Jake was her ex, the father of Mia. The thought of him sent a rush of conflicting emotions through her. Was it closure he sought or chaos? Before fear overwhelmed her, Emily took a moment to collect herself. She felt the quiet resolve return, recognizing the power of her own choices. Jake was part of her past, but didn't he have to define her future? She had fought long and hard for the life she had now. With a surge of determination, she typed back. "I don't know if I'm ready to talk. You've caused enough pain." A reply came quickly. "I know. I just need a chance to explain." An uneasy pit developed in her stomach, yet she felt a flicker of bravery. This could be a step to closure, the answer to questions she had buried deep. She knew she needed to be careful, to keep her focus on what mattered most. "Not tonight," she replied, and hit send. "I'm happy now. If you want to talk, it'll have to be on my terms." A long pause stretched out until a reply arrived. "Okay. I'll wait." Relief washed over her. She hadn't allowed the past to reclaim her, she had set boundaries, protecting her new life and the family she treasured most. Her fingers trembled with what had just happened, but deep down, she felt stronger, capable of facing whatever storm might come her way. "Mom," Mia called, emerging from the kitchen with a pile of snacks. "Can we watch a movie?" She smiled wide, her heart lifting at the sight of her daughter. "Absolutely. Let us find something fun." As they settled in, the glow of the TV washed over them, and the warmth of uncomplicated joy wrapped around Emily like a comforting blanket. She captured the fleeting moment in her mind, a reminder that love and happiness came first. She had a second chance at happiness, and she would protect it fiercely. In that cozy space, surrounded by laughter and love, she finally felt a sense of peace wash over her. The shadows were starting to fade, and hope filled the room, a gentle whisper promising renewal and stability, no matter what the future held. As the credits rolled on their movie, Emily knew this was just the beginning. With every challenge, every whisper of the past, she would face it head-on. She was building a new story, one filled with love, strength, and an unbreakable bond with Mia. And as for Jake? She would be ready, whenever the time came. This was her life, hers to create and mold. With a heart full of newfound courage, Emily looked at her daughter and felt a rush of love. They were a team, and nothing could shake that. Now, the future awaited, filled with possibilities, and she was ready to step into it hand in hand with her daughter, and maybe someday, with Alex, too. Now is your time to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.